Hey guys, this is Communications, and welcome to my review of Bug. Bug is a movie released in 1975. It was directed by Jeannot Szwarc. I don't know if I pronounced it right. The same guy is responsible for bringing us Supergirl. But he also brought us Jaws 2. So Jaws 2 is a good film. So commendable sequel. I mean, compared to the crappy other Jaws, see with Jaws Revenge and Jaws 3, Jaws 2 is a masterpiece. Bug was the last movie that William Castle was involved with. The guy responsible for Percepto and the Tingler and all those weird gimmicky things he did when he released his movies like House on Haunted Hill and movies of that like. Bug is an interesting creature. Now, am I going to say this is a movie that everyone will enjoy? No. I, for one, liked it. I liked it a lot, really. It's a silly idea. Yeah, bugs that just light things on fire for no damn reason. Don't get it either. But it's still pretty terrifying to think that there would be a form of insect that would just light shit on fire just for shits and giggles. So basically, the whole movie starts out with a great film sequence in a church with an earthquake, and it's great practical effects that looks realistic. And I guess out of this earthquake come these bugs. They look like roaches, beetles. And since in the 70s, they actually used real bugs, which adds to the heebie-jeebie creepy factor that this movie has. It gave me the gave me the creeps, definitely, at certain parts in this film. And it's got Bradford Dillman, who I think was also in Piranha. The killer bugs and now Piranha. So you have him. I don't know who else. I think. Well, John Stanley, the Creature Features movie guy, didn't care for this movie. He called it a poor horror film. Well, I respectfully disagree with him because it's more of an interesting mix of horror and sci-fi, and it's based on the book by The Festus Plague by Thomas Page. And it stars Joanna Miles, Jesse Vint, Patty McCormack, and Bradford Dillman. So what happens is an earthquake in California. It releases these bugs. So the first time you see these bugs in action is a harrowing sequence where these guys are getting in their truck after this grandfather and his grandson are getting in their pickup after the earthquake, just decimated, the church. They're trying to go find, I think, the grandson's sister, who I guess was also at the church. So they go in, and they got the whole craziness here. They're starting to start the car, it won't start. It's like, oh, you're going to flood it, son, and then out of nowhere, the whole thing just engulfs in flames. The truck's just engulfed in flames. The sister, she got out there safe, and she's like, no, oh my God, no. And it's realistic because she's actually acting real. So these are real people. This is made in the 70s where people looked more real. They didn't look artificial to me. These look like real people. So Bradford Dillman plays this scientist, this entomologist bug guy. One of the survivors, who basically, I think he's the brother of the girl that watched her family, her grandfather. I think it's her father. It's her father and her other brother, burn alive. So, got a really well done sequence of this guy running and really good camera work by Jeannot Szwarc. And they go in, and there's another truck pickup that's stalled, and then it also lights on fire. And then this guy goes into the field, and he finds all these bugs. And they're crawling around all over this sagebrush area in the desert. So he grabs one of these bugs, and he's like, ah! Because the bug burns you. You pick up the bug, it'll burn you. It's like a defense mechanism. It's like, ah! So he wonders what the hell these things are, so he goes in and gets Bradford Dillman, and Bradford Dillman comes in and does this whole scientific work and looks at him and figures out, oh, they have this little thing on the end of their abdomen here that creates sparks. Wow. And he brings one back to the lab to look at it. Finds out that they're really muscular. They have really muscular legs. And he's wondering why they don't jump or crawl or go anywhere. He's wondering how these things, these bugs, how do they get from town to town and cause these fires? So he's just, at his house doing some stuff. Here comes this guy, this cable, I think this phone repairman, or he's an or it's not internet. It wasn't existed in '75, so he's either a phone repairman or a plumber or an electrician guy. And he comes in. Actually, it's the guy who's going to work on the chimney. He comes in as a working the chimney. He's like, don't worry about it, because he's in the garage and he's all of a sudden, his car, there's something wrong with it. So he goes in and he lifts up the hood, and there's all these bugs inside the car, just burning things and going. And they make this really weird, creepy kind of chittering noise, these bugs. Then they go like, So, they make these really creepy noises. And so he goes in, and he's trying to get these bugs. He lights up newspaper on fire since he thinks they're attracted to fire. And then he goes in, and he sees one crawl out of his tailpipe. And that's when he figures out, after he lights another fire, and gets all these 6 bugs out of his tailpipe on this newspaper. And he puts them in jars. Forgot one, there's one still in the house, which ends up being a disaster. But anyway, what happens, he finds out because of that, they eat carbon. What they do, why, how, and also he finds out that these bugs, before they eat carbon, they eat carbon to help them create these fires. And so he figures out that how they travel from town to town is that they travel by inside the tailpipes of cars. So that's when they get in your tailpipe and you drive away. You don't check your tailpipe. Nobody checks their tailpipe like, oh, I'm going to check if there's anything in my tailpipe. Is there a banana in there? You're not, banana maybe? But you're not expecting a bug that will cause lethal fires. So you have that. And then you have this sequence, which I want to show you the clip from this. This is realistic. This is creepy. This is a real bug. This isn't fake. That's the whole thing. These are real bugs here. And it adds to the, the creepo factor. And his wife, Bradford Dillman's wife, she's at home getting ready for dinner or whatever. And that one bug that he forgot about found its way in the kitchen. So this sequence is harrowing, it's intense, and enjoy.
We continue to boil liquid until all means. Molder individual mold and decorate bottom and sides with slices of hard remove skin and bones from
Wow. I mean, that's practical effects. It's creepy. It's in her fucking hair. She doesn't know. Her head starts smoking, and then all of a sudden she's ignited on fire. Crazy. So after that, Bradford Dillman starts losing his mind, because then he finds out that the bug won't survive very long. That eventually finds out that because they came from underground, they're used to this extreme amount of pressure. And as soon as they get out above ground, they can't handle the pressure of the normal, they can't handle the pressure, it's the pressure, the difference. It's like they depressurize and they blow up, basically. So he's distraught, because he's like, this is my one chance at fame, one chance of making a name for myself. So he gets that brother guy to create a pressurizer thing out of a diving helmet, so he could try to experiment and save the species. Why the fuck fucking world you want to save species like that just do nothing but harm to the world is beyond me. But I guess he thinks he just wants to be famous. And also before this, around the same time, the sister and the brother moved into their old ranch house where, regrettably that's where their parents died. So they moved to the ranch house, and there's a bug in there, and there's a suspenseful sequence too where there's a bug on the phone, and the phone rings, and the girls are like, no, don't answer the phone, lady, don't answer it, oh God, please. So she answers the phone, and then the bug attacks her ear, and like, it just starts trying to catch fire on her ear, and she's bleeding, and it's a suspenseful sequence. So you have that. Bradford Dillman's lost his mind. After the whole thing with the bug attacks the girl, her and her brother, they move out of the house for the time being and let Bradford Dillman use the house. So Bradford Dillman has this brilliant idea. I'm going to save the species by making them breed with a regular cockroach, a hissing cockroach, like So he puts them in the depressurized thing, the helmet, and they actually breed, and they create this egg sac. And this guy's lost his mind. He's getting disheveled, he's getting a long beard, he's getting sweaty, and he's going, coo-coo, coo-coo. And he creates this new breed of bug that, hear me out here, that can handle the pressure, both above and underground, and it can now light things on fire, and it can crawl, and it can get around a lot better than the other bug because it doesn't need to jump, and they don't eat carbon. They don't just eat carbon. You know what else they eat? Raw meat. They eat meat. This dumbass created a strain of killer bug that eats meat and lights things on fire. Bravo! Thank you so much, Bradford Dillman. You fucking dumbass. So he creates bugs that... His name is Partmiter. Doug Partmiter, I think. So thank you, Mr. Partmiter. Thank you so much. So he names them Partmiterus Hephaestus. So these Partmiterus Hephaestuses, they decide, oh, we like meat. So he's sleeping in his bed, and this happens. This is the one scene that just made me curl up in my bed, just like, eee. It's a creepy sequence. Well, I hope you feel the same way. And roll that creepy cry footage. Ooh, that's just creepy. The whole bug's crawling on the fucking bed and going and eating him, and he's like, It's like, he serves you right, dumbass. They're like, he's laying in the bed. And also, he's an idiot. Lock the damn fucking thing with the above and underground, and it can now light things on fire, and it can crawl, and it can get around a lot better than the other bug because it doesn't doesn't need to jump, and they don't eat carbon. They don't just eat carbon. You know what else they eat? Raw meat. They eat meat. This dumbass created a strain of killer bug that eats meat and lights things on fire. Bravo! Thank you so much, Bradford Dillman. You fucking dumbass. So he creates bugs that... His name is Partmiter. Doug Partmiter, I think. So thank you, Mr. Partmiter. Thank you so much. So he names them Parmiteris Hephaestus. So these Parmiteris Hephaestuses, you know, they decide, oh, we like meat. So he's sleeping in his bed, and this happens. This is the one scene that just made me curl up in my bed, just like, eee. It's a creepy sequence. Well, I hope you feel the same way. And roll that creepy cry footage. Woo! That's just creepy. The whole bug's crawling on the fucking bed and going and eating him, and he's like, ah, ah, ah. It's like, he serves you right, dumbass. They're like, he's laying in the bed. And also, he's an idiot. Lock the damn fucking thing with the killer bugs in it. What do you think you're gonna do? Leave the box unlocked? It's like that's like having Pandora's box and just leaving it half open all the time. The wrong with you? At least lock it with a padlock. Don't just go to sleep with the butt. What do you think they won't push open the thing? There's like 10 or 12 of those bugs. They'd be like, yay, dumbass left it open. They start eating his chest. So he had that, and then he's like all pissed off. Oh, damn you bugs! And he throws them into the thing. And also before that, you find out that these bugs, they can't eat. They can't eat. Just one won't just eat the meat. They all have to be in one group to eat, which is weird. Like they can't do it any other way. They have to have one. They have to be one unit to eat. So he ends up, I'm gonna punish you, and he throws the bugs in, and gets them up the chest, and he throws them in the pressurized unit, and he turns up the pressure really high. And so they all flip on their backs, and they're like, ah! And then the bugs in there are flipping out, and the bugs in the container are flipping out too. And so he realizes that after he freaks them out, that now they realize, oh, he's boss, and things like that. And he creates another egg sac. Dumbass. Because they mate. These new ones mate. So now you have bugs that can light fires and eat meat mating. What the hell offspring are they going to create? And then he's lost his fucking head. He's not getting in contact with any of his people he knows. His friend, the lady, you know, that had the ear, you know, attacked, she's a friend of his, and she ends up getting all gussied up and nice and goes over to the house. She's got a Bible, and this is after, because it's actually his wife's Bible, he's going to give it to him. So before this, he went out and get some groceries or whatever. He only goes out to get food, of course. Probably for his beloved bugs. And before this, the bugs start thinking. They start having smarts. Because I guess they have this psychic link with Bradford Dillman. Because he created them, he's their creator, and the moment that he did that freaking them out thing, they have a psychic link. He says, they watch me. They really do. They look at me, they watch me. And, yeah, I can really think that they can read my thoughts. So he goes in, and there's a creepy scene once the bugs get out of the house, out of their container, and they start creating words, and it's all from his head. He starts thinking of something, X, and they create an X. Y. Y. They crawl and create a Y in the wall. Z. Z. They crawl and create a Z in the wall. We live. Now it could have been more freaky if they had said we live and then they created you die. But that's not what happened. But that would have been even more disturbing. People think that's silly. It's silly, yes. It's like, oh, bugs take your dick. It's silly, but it's scary. Think about it. What if there were bugs that had that were intelligent? We'd be fucked. Think about it. There were fucking spiders that were intelligent, man. The fucking giant big ones. They'd be like, this is scary here. That this dumbass has created a strain of bug that could literally wipe out the human race. They're going. So when he goes in to go get groceries, this happens. The friend of his, she goes and gets the Bible. She goes in. The bugs are pissed off. They're out of their cage, and they're all like, "What are you doing in there?" And they start chasing after her. And this is actually, the bugs escaped. They escaped from their pen, and they took the egg sac and they threw it back in the hole where, all the other bugs are. So what these bugs ended up doing is they ended up attacking the girl, lit her on fire. They lit her up like a powder keg. It's a suspenseful sequence as well. Well done, well made effect. So she's all like, through the clothesline, and the clothesline lights a fire too. It's crazy. So he comes back. He's like, where'd they go? Where are they? He's looking for them. And then he goes back in the garage and sees her dead. Of course, he's like, God. So he loses it. He starts crying, of course. It's your dumbass fault. And then he goes back in that, and he starts going around, walking around. And then fucking out of like a fucking bat out of hell out of the ground comes these flood of new offspring. And these new bugs, they not only eat meat and burn things, they can fly. So now you have flying, meat-eating, fire-creating bugs. Literally, you just fucked the human race, dumbass. Seriously, I mean, these things would just be like, rah, just light things of fire, just whoosh, whoosh. And it's like, what the fuck would we do? I mean, he created them out of a breed of roach. They survive nuclear explosions. He already found out that these new bugs that they offspring with, they have super hard shells. You can't even step on them. And they create the only thing that kills those bugs is pressure. And now, what the fuck is anybody gonna do? You fucking idiot. Seriously. And no one's gonna think it's gonna be the bugs. They're gonna think that this weird fucking plague is just fucking crazy, series of fires is happening all over the world. No one will have any idea it's the bugs, and when they find out it'll be too late because they've already bred up fucking millions of billions of fucking flying, meat-eating, fire-breathing, fucking bugs. Flying, meat-eating, fire-breathing bugs. Thanks a lot, you dumbass. So they start chasing after him, and they make this weird, they're like, oh my god, what am I doing? Because they run back in the house, and they're like, and these things, like, the fact is cheesy because you can see the strings on these flying bugs, but for the 70s, I give it, and I'm not going to knock the movie because of that. So, they're like, and they're lighting everything on fire around the farm, and he's stuck in the house, and then they start to get in, and he runs out, and because the bugs start getting in the house, and he tries to run out, and they start lighting his ass on fire, going out on him, just flying into him, and going, and then he just takes a dive into the hole where all those bugs are, because he has a psychic link. He lands in, and they follow him into the hole, and then another earthquake happens, and then everything gets covered up. He dies, he sacrifices himself. I think what happens also is, I don't know if he blows up or something. It's like, and then boom. That'd be fun. I don't remember exactly what happened. The ending is kind of confusing and doesn't make that much sense, but he collapses in, and all the bugs are underground once again. So the movie ends. Dumbass Partmiter died, and his bugs went to the grave with him, you think. Now think about this, though. This is what makes this movie scary and upsetting and disturbing. It's not a happy ending, because, the earthquake happened, and they got covered up again. What happens if there's another earthquake? So whenever San Francisco, or whenever there's another earthquake along the San Andreas Fault in California, a horde of fire-breathing, meat-eating bugs will be unleashed upon the world. So either way, it's a downbeat ending, and I like that. It's ballsy. It's like, we don't care. Screw your happy endings. This is a depressing, downbeat movie, and you can deal with it. And I like that. You don't see movies like that nowadays. They go really more for the happy ending nowadays, or the shock ending, where it's like, everything's okay, and then, you're like, alright, enough of that. Like Paranormal Activity. Huh? It's enough. At least this is like, it makes you think. And the ending makes you think, like, oh my God, they're not dead. They're gonna come back and kill us all. Oh my God, you fucking dumbass. You have ended humanity, Partmiter. You asshole. So, yeah. I don't hate this movie. I mean, I liked it. So, if I was going to rate it out of 4 stars, I give it 3.5. I like this movie a lot. I'm not going to give it 4 stars. It has its flaws. The little cheesy looking flying bugs and some plot points that don't make much sense. You know, the why the guy would lose his fucking head and create a, strain a new superbug is beyond me, but he wants his name in the papers. Think about it. If you're an entomologist, you don't have that much chance at, fame and fortune. So if you create your own super breed, a new breed of bug that has never existed before, and you discover it, make some big bucks. I would think. But for his 15 minutes of fame, he basically sacrifices the rest of humanity. So, it's a thinking movie. It makes you think. It's silly. Yes, it's a silly idea. Okay, but it's not a trash cinema film. Because I was bored by it. There were times I was shocked. I was freaked out. I was efficiently creeped. I still think about this movie and I'm creeped out because the movie, the cinematography, Jeannot Szwarc did a great job directing this and made it creepy with these bugs and the real bugs. The fact that they're real bugs and real roaches is creepy. So I enjoyed this movie. I don't know if you guys will, but I had a good time with this film. And it's nihilistic, but that's the best. That's the best thing that this movie can be. Is nihilistic. It takes things with a straight face, and they're like, well, it shouldn't. I think it does work with a straight face. How is this funny? How is bugs that can eat me and light things on fire funny? And fly. It's not funny. It's scary. It's like, oh my God, we're fucking screwed. I mean, that's what that is to me, anyway. It's like the tremors that can fly, the shriekers. It's scary. And but it's cheesy looking. The flying ones, they don't look very cool. They look really lame. And anyway, thanks for watching my review of Bug, and I'll check you later.
Silence!